Have you ever noticed how lunchtime can leave you feeling sluggish rather than energized? Many of us over 70 find ourselves looking forward to lunch, only to crash in the afternoon. It's not just about being older or tired. There are real physiological shifts taking place in our bodies, changes in metabolism, muscle mass, and even how we process nutrients. These changes often make it harder to sustain the energy levels we enjoyed in earlier decades. Yet here's something that surprises many people. The midday meal we've come to know, maybe a quick sandwich or a bowl of soup, might not be giving us the steady vitality we really need. And for those who rely on different medications, the interaction between the foods we choose and our prescriptions can further complicate that mid-afternoon slump. Addressing this midday energy drop matters because it goes well beyond feeling sleepy. It can affect mood, concentration, mobility, and even motivation to engage in the activities we love, whether it's gardening, playing with grandchildren, or simply enjoying our favorite hobby without nodding off. If we repeatedly have low energy after lunch, over time we might find ourselves avoiding social gatherings or outdoor walks because we feel too drained. But imagine what life would look like if you could finish your lunch and still have plenty of strength and mental clarity to tackle the rest of your day. Today I want to introduce you to 4 simple foods, ones that may already be on your grocery list, or perhaps items you've heard about but haven't given much thought, each specifically chosen for a lunch meal that supports steady energy. We'll talk about why they work, how they fit into a holistic time-based approach, and how you can enjoy them in a way that suits your personal preferences. This is not about jumping on another strict diet or taking on an unrealistic regimen. It's about subtle but impactful adjustments to what's on your plate. The transformation you can experience involves feeling more alert in the afternoons, enjoying consistent strength for daily tasks, and reducing those dips in motivation that can make your day less fulfilling. I've spent years coaching older adults on holistic nutrition and lifestyle strategies that honor the full spectrum of health, mind, body, and spirit. My perspective is guided by research, but it's also grounded in real-world experience from people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond who have tried, stumbled, and succeeded in creating meals that nourish them without weighing them down. Of course, I encourage everyone to consult with a healthcare professional for personalized guidance, especially if you have unique medical needs. But rest assured, the suggestions you'll hear are gentle, adaptable, and open-ended. Whether your appetite has changed or you simply want to feel more energized for your afternoon plans, let's explore how a time-based lunch strategy can make a meaningful difference. By the end of our time together, you'll be equipped with practical ideas for a midday meal that's satisfying, nutritious, and supportive of sustained energy. No complicated rules required. Take a moment to think. What's your usual lunch routine, and how do you typically feel afterward? As you reflect, keep that question in mind, because in just a few moments, we'll dive into simple shifts you can start making right away to enjoy more consistent vitality throughout the afternoon. Let's begin with a fresh perspective that challenges a common assumption. Many seniors believe that high-protein lunches are only necessary for bodybuilders or athletes, but protein is crucial for everyone, especially as we age, to maintain muscle mass and support metabolic functions that deliver sustained energy. The misconception is that you only need extra protein if you're hitting the gym intensely. Consider Sharon, who's 73 and lives in a retirement community. For years, she believed that a sandwich with a couple of thin slices of deli meat was enough. Her doctor told her to watch her sodium, so she switched to low-salt alternatives. But she was still exhausted by 2 p.m. daily. Sharon assumed it was just a sign of getting older. It wasn't until her grandson, a nutrition student, suggested she add a slightly higher protein source to her lunch, like grilled chicken breast, beans, or lentils, and pair it with veggies that she began seeing a difference. Evidence-based insight. As we age, our bodies tend to process protein less efficiently, which means we need a bit more of it to maintain the same level of muscle support and energy. The new perspective is that a moderate increase in high-quality protein at lunch can help fuel your cells and stabilize blood sugar, preventing the pronounced energy dips that leave you wanting a nap. This doesn't mean you need an enormous steak. Sharon began by adding a small grilled chicken breast, roughly the size of her palm, or half a cup of beans to her salads. Alternatively, she'd use canned tuna mixed with plain yogurt and herbs. Within a couple of weeks, she found her afternoons became more productive. Practical advice: you don't have to reinvent your lunch. Keep your normal salad or your veggie wrap, but include a reliable protein source. If you're vegetarian or simply enjoy more plant-based options, think about lentils in a hearty soup or chickpeas in a roasted veggie wrap. If your medication requires you to watch sodium or certain additives, opt for low-salt varieties and season with herbs and spices instead of relying on salt-laden condiments. From a physical standpoint, maintaining muscle mass helps you stay mobile and independent. From an emotional angle, having the energy to finish tasks or enjoy afternoon activities lifts your mood and sense of well-being. If you're still with me, I'd love to know, does this idea of a protein-focused lunch surprise you in any way? Perhaps you're already doing some form of it, or maybe it feels like new territory. Reflect on whether a protein boost might help stabilize your afternoon energy. We'll continue with the next food approach, which might change the way you think about carbs. Next, let's tackle the idea of carbohydrates at lunch. Many seniors are told to avoid heavy carbs, assuming they lead to weight gain and energy crashes. The misconception is that all carbs are created equal and will inevitably lead to a slump. Let's introduce Harold, 77, who used to skip carbohydrates entirely at lunch. He'd grown fearful of bread and pasta, believing they were to blame for his afternoon fatigue. Instead, he'd load up on vegetables and a little cheese or chicken. But ironically, Harold still felt groggy by mid-afternoon. He discovered that not all carbohydrates are the same. Refined carbs, like white bread and pastries, can spike blood sugar and cause a crash later. But complex carbs, such as quinoa, barley, or whole grain bread, release glucose more slowly, providing a more stable form of energy. What new perspective does this bring? A balanced lunch with moderate complex carbohydrates can actually work in your favor, giving you a steady supply of energy that supports brain function and physical stamina. Harold tried incorporating half a cup of quinoa or brown rice into his lunch bowl, alongside vegetables and a sensible portion of protein. After a week or so, he reported fewer energy dips and a more upbeat afternoon mood. He also found that the additional fiber from these complex carbs kept him feeling satisfied longer, preventing that urge to snack on sugary treats later. The practical steps are straightforward. Replace simple, refined carbs with whole grain or fiber-rich options. Instead of white pasta, try whole grain pasta or even legume-based pasta made from chickpeas or lentils if that appeals to you. If you enjoy bread, look for 100% whole grain varieties that list whole wheat or another whole grain as the first ingredient. Keep an eye on portion sizes. No need to go overboard. Just a small serving combined with protein and healthy fats can be a game changer. Physically, this helps regulate blood sugar levels, potentially easing the burden on your heart and circulatory system, which is paramount as we age. Emotionally, it can boost your confidence throughout the day because you're no longer battling that dreaded carb crash. This is a good point to pause and reflect. How do you currently feel about the role of carbohydrates in your lunch? Are you someone who's been avoiding them entirely, or maybe you haven't given it much thought? Consider experimenting with a small portion of complex carbs and observing your afternoon energy level. If you're concerned about medication interactions, like those for diabetes, always consult with your healthcare provider. But don't shy away from these nutrient-rich carbohydrates because the right kind can truly support a steady, reliable flow of energy. Moving on, a lot of people think about salads or veggies at lunch because we've all heard the phrase, eat more vegetables. The misconception among seniors is that any vegetable is automatically good enough. While all veggies have benefits, there's a specific category that can have a remarkable impact on sustaining energy. Dark leafy greens. Imagine Doreen, 76, who lived by the motto, vegetables are vegetables. She'd add iceberg lettuce to her sandwiches and call it a day. But her energy didn't improve. After some guidance, she began incorporating darker greens like spinach, kale, or Swiss chard into her lunch routine. She noticed that these nutrient-dense greens seemed to give her a more satisfying boost. Why does this matter? Dark leafy greens are rich in essential vitamins and minerals, including iron and folate. Iron supports oxygen transport in the blood, which is critical for keeping muscles and tissues energized. Folate and other B vitamins help in converting the food you eat into the energy your body uses. There's a reason these greens are often considered nutritional powerhouses. Instead of thinking of them as just extra lettuce, Doreen started blending spinach into her soups, using kale in a simple stir-fry, or even adding Swiss chard to a warm quinoa bowl with a little olive oil and lemon juice. The slow and steady energy release she felt was more than just a placebo. It was her body responding to the iron, vitamins, and antioxidants that these greens offer in abundance. From a practical standpoint, consider adding a handful of spinach to a wrap or sandwich, or mixing kale into a hearty lunch salad. If you find the flavors too strong, you can sauté them lightly with garlic and add a sprinkle of Parmesan cheese for taste. The benefits extend beyond energy. Dark leafy greens can support cognitive function, something that's especially important if you enjoy word puzzles or social interactions that require mental alertness. And they're often linked to better heart health. Emotionally, there's something empowering about making a small change, like swapping iceberg lettuce for spinach, that can have a noticeable effect on how you feel later in the day. It's a subtle shift, but one that signals you're taking an active role in your own well-being. Let's check in. Are you open to trying darker greens in your lunch? Sometimes it helps to approach them in a familiar format, like adding baby spinach to your usual salad or sandwich. If you have any concerns about vitamin K interfering with certain medications like blood thinners, that's definitely a reason to consult your doctor. The goal here is balance and awareness, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Finally, let's talk about healthy fats, a topic that's caused confusion for decades. Many seniors grew up during an era when low-fat everything was promoted as the gold standard of healthy eating. The misconception is that any form of dietary fat will make you gain weight or clog your arteries. But not all fats are created equal. James, a 72, avoided fats obsessively for years, thinking it was the best way to protect his heart. He ended up relying heavily on refined carbs and sugary snacks to feel full, which only made his mid-afternoon energy crashes worse. His shift began when he realized that healthy fats, such as those found in avocados, nuts, seeds, and olive oil, can actually help stabilize energy and improve nutrient absorption. What's the evidence-based insight? Healthy fats slow down the digestion of carbohydrates, resulting in a more gradual release of glucose into the bloodstream. This avoids the spike and crash cycle. Additionally, certain vitamins, like vitamins A, D, E, and K, are fat-soluble, meaning your body absorbs them more efficiently when you include a bit of fat with your meal. James started adding a quarter of an avocado to his lunch salad, drizzling a small amount of extra virgin olive oil over his veggies, and sometimes sprinkling a few walnuts on top. He discovered that he felt full in a comfortable way, without the heaviness or sudden drop in energy he used to experience. How can you apply this? Swap out overly processed dressings for a homemade vinaigrette with olive oil. If you enjoy sandwiches, try a light spread of mashed avocado instead of mayonnaise. Include a handful of almonds or sunflower seeds on your salad. The physical benefits include more consistent energy levels, potential improvements in cholesterol balance, and possibly a reduction in inflammation. Emotionally, feeling comfortably satisfied can keep you in a positive mindset throughout the afternoon. You're less likely to reach for sugary snacks, so you avoid the guilt or frustration that sometimes follows impulsive choices. Before we bring everything together, let's take a moment to imagine how these four food categories, high-quality protein, complex carbohydrates, dark leafy greens, and healthy fats, might fit into a single lunch. Think of a colorful plate, a base of dark leafy greens, a serving of complex carbs like quinoa, a protein like grilled chicken or lentils, and a finishing touch of avocado or a sprinkle of nuts. Doesn't that already sound more vibrant and enticing than the typical plain sandwich? Each element plays a role in providing steady energy, and when combined, they truly shine. Summarizing these points can transform your lunchtime from a rushed meal into a considered practice that truly fuels you. By focusing on protein for muscle and metabolic support, choosing complex carbs for a gradual energy supply, including dark leafy greens for essential micronutrients, and adding healthy fats for balance and nutrient absorption, you create a synergy that helps maintain your energy throughout the afternoon. Think about how much more you can get done or enjoy when you're not battling fatigue at 2 or 3 o'clock. Perhaps you'll take a refreshing walk outside, play a game of cards with friends, or read a chapter of that novel you've been wanting to finish. Even simple tasks like folding laundry or making a phone call can feel more pleasant when your energy doesn't suddenly drop. Right now, you may be feeling a sense of excitement or relief. Finally, something practical I can try. Or perhaps a bit of skepticism. Can a few foods really make such a difference? Here's the truth. It's the consistency over time that makes the most impact. A single lunch won't create a miracle, but regularly choosing balanced options can absolutely help you feel steadier. If you think about your energy as a bank account, each intentional choice you make around lunch is like depositing a bit more strength, alertness, and well-being. Over weeks and months, those deposits add up to real, tangible benefits. I encourage you to try these ideas soon. How about tomorrow? Start simple. Choose one of these foods, maybe a small serving of complex carbs or a handful of spinach, and integrate it into your usual meal. See how you feel by mid-afternoon. If you notice even a slight improvement, that's a sign you're on the right track. Over time, keep layering in the other elements: protein, healthy fats, more dark leafy greens, and adjust according to your preferences and your doctor's advice if necessary. The urgency here is not about fear, it's about valuing every day we have. Each day you feel more energetic is a day you can more fully engage with the people and activities that bring you joy. So what's your next step? Maybe you'll do a bit of meal prep tonight, cooking up a batch of quinoa or preparing some protein to have on hand for tomorrow's lunch. If you're feeling more ambitious, you could plan a week's worth of balanced lunches or even invite a friend to join you in trying these foods, making it a communal effort. If you'd like to go deeper, consider speaking with a nutrition-savvy healthcare professional about how these foods can be adapted to your specific needs. And if you're simply curious and want to keep it easy, just remember to reach for something like dark leafy greens or a small portion of healthy fats when you assemble your lunch. No matter how you decide to move forward, remember that you are not stuck. Your afternoon energy isn't set in stone by age or circumstance. Through mindful choices and a bit of experimentation, you can find a lunch combination that lifts you up rather than slowing you down. Every senior's journey is unique, and you have the wisdom and life experience to guide you in making the best decisions for yourself. By choosing to be proactive about your midday meal, you're honoring that wisdom. You're also opening yourself to a world of possibilities: an afternoon stroll in the park, a chat with a neighbor, a new craft project, or simply the pleasure of feeling awake and content as the day unfolds. And now, consider making this a part of your routine. Maybe you'll keep a short journal to track how your lunch choices correlate with your afternoon energy. Or you'll experiment with different combinations of protein, carbs, greens, and fats to see what feels most comfortable. If cooking feels overwhelming, don't hesitate to ask a family member or friend for help, or look into convenient grocery items like pre-washed spinach, canned beans, or pre-cooked grains. Whatever approach you take, the intention remains the same: to live with more vitality, optimism, and enjoyment in each day. You have more power and agency than you might believe, and by choosing how you nourish your body at lunch, you're taking an important step in shaping your overall well-being. Here's to afternoons full of possibility and energy, starting with a simple meal that truly supports you. Now that you've learned some key lunchtime strategies, I invite you to take one of 3 possible actions. The simplest is to try incorporating just one of these suggestions, like swapping your usual bread for a whole grain alternative, into your next lunch. If you're more motivated, go ahead and build a fully balanced lunch using all 4 components. And if you're enthusiastic about making a bigger change, consider reaching out to a healthcare provider or nutritionist for personalized advice that takes into account your medications, medical history, and personal preferences. Above all, remember that every small change can lead to noticeable improvements over time. Here's to welcoming a new chapter of steady energy and greater confidence as you move through your day with strength and clarity.